Hey, have you ever been called a hypocrite before? Man, that word stings, doesn't it? I mean, a hypocrite is someone who says one thing or acts a certain way, and then when they're by themselves or when people's backs are turned, they behave or say different things than what they tell others they should say, right? And I think maybe at times in our lives, we've all been hypocritical, right? We may have talked about someone, about how they live their lives and how they're this or that, and then we turn around and do the same thing in our lives after we've already criticized them for doing the same exact thing. And I think that we have to beware of that, right? How many times have we talked to somebody and invited them to church? Hey, man, you ought to come to our church. Our pastor is awesome. He gives great messages. Our music ministry, it's awesome, man. The worship is incredible. Our children's ministry is top of the line. Our teenage ministry is great. We've got women's groups and men's groups, and nah, thanks anyway. You know, I've had enough of the church. I've been in churches, and uh, it's filled with hypocrites. And you know, I think that that's one of the things that Jesus warns us about in the New Testament. At one point, he has the disciples around him. He says, hey, I want you guys to be aware of this. I want you to be aware of the yeast of the Pharisees, and that is hypocrisy. Yeast makes things rise, right? So hypocrisy is what rises in the Pharisees. Then they were the religious leaders. They were the ones that were supposed to bring people into a relationship with God. Yet because of the way that they lived their lives, instead of godly lives that drew people to God, they lived lives that were consumed with getting power, status, material possessions, and riches. They had forgotten their first love, what had drawn them into becoming a religious leader, a Pharisee, and that was the love of God. Instead, they had given up their pursuit of God and taken up the pursuit of earthly pleasures. Now, we do the same thing, don't we? We have our love of God is there. If we call ourselves Christians, then we are followers of Jesus. But sometimes don't our words and actions really go against what we profess to believe? We call others to feed the hungry and the poor and to help the addicted and to visit the prisoner and the elderly and the shut in and all of these things, right? And then we don't do it. We get caught up in chasing after the next thing that comes along, whether it's a new beach house or someplace in the mountains or a new car or a new job or a new relationship or that new next best thing that comes out technologically wise, right? There's all of these things that kind of get in our way. And Jesus says, beware. Beware of hypocrisy. Let us live the lives that we profess we live, and then others will see Christ in us. May God continue to pour out his grace, mercy, and blessings on each and every one of us until we get to meet again. Amen. Amen.